I want to ask you a question. Are you anything like me? Do you find yourself at the grocery store looking for groceries when all of a sudden you find yourself standing in front of the massive array of orchids? Like, who would think that you go to the grocery store to get food only to come home with this beautiful tropical plant that now you have to figure out how to care for? Well, if you read the tag, it says put 1 ice cube on top of the soil once a month. And voila, you've got this amazing orchid, right? Wrong. My name is Kim and I am so glad that you're here today. I want to talk with you today about how to care for your orchid, your grocery store orchid, once you bring it home. What do you do? Well, we're going to start with first repotting the orchid. So you get this orchid home and all of a sudden the leaves start drooping, getting floppy, and the flowers that were so beautiful all of a sudden start wilting. Well, you want to keep your orchid looking great. They're not going to bloom all the time, but you do want to keep them healthy and happy. Remember, this is a tropical plant, and so if you look at the plant tag and you think, you really start to think about it, which is what I did. I found myself very scared of orchids for some reason. I heard long ago that they're so hard to care for, and so I think that just stuck in my head. Well, I started thinking about a tropical plant. Okay, a tropical plant putting an ice cube on the roots. The root system is in the top. I mean, the roots are very exposed, and putting a freezing cold ice cube on top of a tropical plant just sounds like a big contradiction, like a big no-no. So I noticed one time I was FaceTiming my daughter Haley that she had the most magnificent orchid in the background. And so I started asking her, how do you take care of your orchid? What do you do? And she told me the most simple answer. She watered it regularly, once a week. It stayed in a sunny room, and she just took time. She didn't do anything special, but she took time and made sure that it was getting the adequate water that it needed. That was a light bulb moment. It didn't need an ice cube, which I didn't do. But basically what was happening is my orchid was thirsting to death, for lack of a better phrase. And so today I want to show you how we are going to repot a very neglected orchid. This is one that I got. I'm going to repot, but not today. This is the one we are going to repot. The stem is brown. The leaves are still very healthy. It came in this pot, and from what I understand, the research that I have done, you need to get it out of the pot that it comes in. You need to repot it. So today we are going to repot the orchid, and what we are going to be using is a orchid planter. It's terracotta. It has the drainage holes for the root system. And we are going to be using the Miracle Grow Orchid Potting Mix, which is specific for orchids. First thing we're going to do is we are going to cut away we're going to look at the root system. And let me back up. What I did, so this was looking so pitiful that I decided I needed to soak it in some water for just a few minutes. So prior to coming on here, I went ahead and let it soak just a little bit, just to see if it would give it a little boost of juice. I'm not sure that it will. But we are going to carefully prune away the dead roots, and we are going to see if we can put some life back into this beautiful plant. So I put it in warm water because you're only supposed to water orchids with room temperature or warm water. And so I wanted to soak it. So when the orchid came, when I pulled it out of the pot here, it just had this little teeny plastic basket around the roots, and it had a little pocket of soil in it, which is this. That's all the soil it had. The rest of it was pine bark. So orchids don't like a lot of soil. They like airy soil blend, soil-less blend. It's just pine nuggets, mini pine nuggets. So we are just going to come in here and I'm going to cut away. Let me get this stem off of here, or the stake off of here. Okay. So we are going to come in here and I am going to cut away the dead, rough looking roots. I'm just going to cut them off. And then I am going to repot. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to start by untangling all of the roots. I am going to go ahead and cut off the stem, which is painful to do, but it's dead. It has no green in it. So stem is of no use now. Hopefully it will regrow one soon. I am using scissors, regular scissors, because sometimes these roots are a little bit tough. And I like to use clean scissors when I do any sort of root pruning, because you never know what your pruners have on them. So I am cutting these back. Given us some pretty healthy roots to work with. So now I am going to fill the center with the orchid potting mix, and then I'm going to gently lay this in like that. I do need to add a little bit more soil before I do this, because you want the top of the orchid to be at the top of your planter here. You don't want it to be lower. It's just going to make a mound here like that. And then I am going to very carefully lay the roots around like that. See, I'm going to add some more potting mix. So I am actually going to put this stake back in here to give it something to lean against. You don't have to have a stake, but this one is so top heavy that it's just not, I've pruned a lot of its roots off. So I just need to be very careful to make sure nothing knocks into this and it doesn't flip over, but it's trying to lean backwards. So I put the stake in to give it something to rest against. So as you can see, we now have a beautifully potted orchid. I did prune off one of the leaves on the bottom. Just wanted to give it its best chance, but I think it looks pretty good. So the next step is to water it with warm water and put it in I got both of these at the Dollar Tree, a basin or a saucer that is plastic, or you can use terracotta. Fill it with rocks and then add water once a week. It likes to absorb it and it keeps the plant's humidity level a little bit better. So I filled this with warm water. I'm going to just sit it on the tray of the rocks. Like I said, both came from the Dollar Tree, which is, well, it's $1.25 now, but still great. I nestle it in there and then I put it in a sunny window. And I'm just gonna water. Most of the time I bottom water my orchids, but this initial watering, I just wanna make sure I get everything. So I'm using a measuring cup just to make sure that I get because it's got a little spout. Just want to make sure I get all of the plant. And there you have your repotted orchid. Okay, so I hope this helps you to see that orchids are not as scary as I too thought they were at one time, and that it is very easy to repot your orchid and care for it by putting it on a weekly routine of watering. I also use Miracle-Gro orchid food. It is a very small amount per gallon. The instructions are in it. It gives it a little scooper that comes with it to help you measure it. I incorporate this into my weekly routine as well, and the rest of my orchids are doing great, and I just can't say enough about the Miracle-Gro orchid products. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and if you like this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or any experience with orchids, feel free to put that in the comments below as well. I hope to see you again here soon. Take care, everybody.